Hello friends, welcome back to MuleSoft Academy. In today's session, we are going to discuss about the Salesforce capabilities in terms of, streaming APIs, streaming events, and, how we can use the event-driven architecture capabilities of Salesforce with MuleSoft. Okay. So in case of Salesforce, Salesforce provides the, event bus wherever, we changed any object over there, the event will be created and that event will be stored on the event bus. So if you look at my screen right now, if anything, right? So if any data changed on any object, okay, so the event will be created. Okay, we'll talk about it. What kinds of event will be created on Salesforce. We'll talk about those. So those event will be published to the event bus, and that event bus gives the capability to the subscribers so that they can subscribe to that events and they can deal with that data. Okay. So in case of Salesforce, there are streaming events. Okay. So as I said, the Salesforce provides the event bus where our the events produced are published and where a client is connected through streaming APIs, and the event bus offers high efficiency, scalable, and durable platform allowing thousands or millions of streaming events daily. Okay. So events which are stored in the bus, and depending on the type, their durability will be decided. Some, the durability will be in between 24 hours to 72 hours. And in some cases, past events, clients can replay them using replay ID, which is like unique event reference, produced in the Salesforce event bus. So there are few things which we need to understand. So there are different kinds of events. Okay. There is an event bus which gives you the complete platform to produce that and give a flexibility to subscribe those things. It gives a durability where based on the event type, the durable time, whether it's a 24 or till 72. In some cases, past event, the client can use a replay ID to replay those events. So let's talk about what kinds of events will be produced by the Salesforce whenever there is a data change. So there is something called push topic. Okay, so push topic notifications are the type of events sent by Salesforce when the record changes, and this event content, okay, will be decided based on the SOQ, that is Salesforce object query language. So that will decide what will be the this structure of the push topic events. What all fields, what all objects, what all conditions, all those will be decided based on the SOQL. So let me add those things here. So if I go ahead and add, so first event is your push topic, and it will be the structure of events. What all things will be there will be decided by SOQL. Okay. Second event is a kind of a generic event. This generic event is like a custom notification. We can produce using arbitrary strings as a payload, and these are not tied with any data change. So these are custom notifications will be generated by or triggered explicitly through the streaming APIs. The second kind of type of event. Third is a platform event. Platform event. Let me little. Okay. So platform events are also custom notifications, but different from the generic. Okay. You can define custom schema for this particular thing. Okay. So in generic, the payload will be arbitrary string, but here you can associate or specify the schema, custom schema, and where you'll specify what all fields and data types of those fields. Okay. So there are standard platform events published by Salesforce, like user and security events, and those are internal to the Salesforce. Then fourth one comes, which is our today's focus area, which is change change data capture event. We call it CDC. Okay. In this case, means these events are triggered when the record changes in the Salesforce. So unlike push topic, right? You don't need to define here any SOQL to produce these events. You just need to configure which object you'd like to receive notification for this particular event. Okay. And that's it. Okay. So any change in that, whatever configure object, like maybe you configured that, okay, you want to capture the changes for account. So whenever there is a record change on account object, this event will get triggered and the message will contain the header fields informing what data changed and what all the new values. Okay. So like push topic, you can monitor records when they are created, updated, deleted, or undeleted. There is a one operation called undeleted here in Salesforce. Okay, so these 4 events are there. So we are going to focus on CDC event today. Maybe in some more sessions I'll talk about platform events. Okay, but today our focus is the CDC event. Okay, so let me bold it. Okay. So when we should use events, okay, what all use cases we have. So I'll start with very simple use case. So let's say we have Salesforce here. Okay. So I'll just SFTC, we call it Salesforce. And so let's say we have target. Okay. So let's say this is SQL based. Okay. This is SQL based target, can be anything. Okay. Any target. Okay. Now what I want here, so I want here, so on-premise, this is your on-premise SQL based data store that needs to be updated, okay, in near real time with the data changes in the Salesforce. Okay. So if you take this use case, then we can use the Apex trigger, okay, and call API that then writes the data to SQL based database, or create an on-premise app that listens to the platform events or change data capture events and then write it to this SQL based database. Okay. And if you're thinking about some other in future, let's say some new targets are added, if you don't want to change any existing applications logic, then we need to think about something else. Okay. So then in that case, we can use the event driven architecture to solve this particular or implement this use case, which will be future in future, if you want to scale it, right, it will be capable of doing that. So for that use case or some other use case, let me talk about few more use case. Let's say there is a use case called flight updates. Let's say passenger in airport wants to receive notification of changes in any flight, whether it's a gate or flight departure timing. They wanted to know that. Okay. Or data synchronization based the use case which you're talking about, right? That is data synchronization use case. Or maybe order fulfillment use case where customer orders his favorite item with few clicks, and behind the scene multiple systems performs several operations: order creation, payment process, delivery schedule, and email notifications are sent to the buyer. All those kinds of use case we can implement with the help of these streaming events. Let's look at the architecture, how we can implement this. So let me talk about it. So we have Salesforce, okay, here in the top, and it produced the event, and that event will be lying on this particular event bus. And my experience API, okay, so Salesforce experience API will be listening to that events. That means the listener will be there on this experience API, and that experience API will be listening to that event. And once that event is received, the payload is received by this experience API, will publish that to the Anypoint MQ, Okay, so this is where we are actually decoupling the source system and the target system. Okay, now then we'll be having a process API. So this will be my customer process API, which will be listening or consuming data from this Anypoint MQ, and I'll be writing that data or syncing that data to end systems. Okay, so let's do two target systems. One is commerce, e-commerce system, and another one is your customer system. So via two system APIs, we'll be syncing that data from the process API. Okay, so let's see how we can implement this. Okay, so we'll build two APIs, and this system APIs will mimic. Okay, so for mimicking this system APIs, I have something called, I'll just bring this where it is. So this is my text. So to mimic system APIs, you can use something called, webhook. Okay. And that is webhook dot site is there. So we can take help of that. Webhook dot site. So we'll mimic these two system APIs with the help of this webhook dot site. Okay. And then we'll implement these two system APIs. One is experience API, one process API. We'll create two separate queues. Okay. So let me elaborate my use case a little bit. So I have source system. I have two target systems, let's say, okay, e-commerce system and customer system, target system. So we'll be changing data on two objects here in the Salesforce. So account object and contact object. We'll get the events on Salesforce event, and we'll subscribe to two different listener over here, one for account, one for contact. And we'll be pushing that data or publishing that data to different queues on Anypoint MQ. Okay. And then for each queue, we'll be having listener over there in the process API, and this process API will be publishing or pushing that data or sending that data to this system APIs. Okay, that's what the overall use case. So let's go ahead and try to implement it. Okay, so for saving time, what I have done, I have created the queues on my Anypoint MQ. So one queue I have created for account. You can see the accounts -q, and I have captured the credentials from there, from the Anypoint MQ. So if I test the connection, so for a security reason, I cannot show the setup on the Anypoint MQ, but I have two queues, one for account, one for contact. Okay, and let me show you the queues first. So one for contact, one for account, and both the queues I have attached the dead letter queue also. Okay, so for account also and contact queue, I have attached the dead letter queue. So if this, the message is not delivered to this actual queues, the message will be delivered to the dead letter queue after all the possible readability option exhausted. Okay, so first requirement is to create the queues on Anypoint MQ. So that requirement is done. So two queues are available with us. Okay, now let's talk about this Salesforce now. So you can go ahead and log into our Salesforce. So I'll try to log into Salesforce. Sorry, log in salesforce.com. You can go ahead and we can log into Salesforce. So once you log in, let me add the verification code. Okay. So once it verifies, it will log into your home page. So now first setup, we'll do it for our, change data capture event. Okay. So once you logged in, click on your setup, go here and search for, if you just search for capture, it will show you. the change event. And here you can select what all object you want to capture the changes. Okay. So I have added account and contact over here, and you just click on save. That's it. Okay. So this one setup we need. And to connect Salesforce from your MuleSoft, we need one more thing called, if you go to your settings, here, go to personal, you need a security token. Okay. So get the security token, username, password, and do this setup on the for our change data capture event. Okay. So once two things are done, we are ready to connect Salesforce from our MuleSoft. Okay. So that's what I'm doing here. So I have added the module, okay, Salesforce module in my palette. And from Salesforce, I have selected replay channel listener. Okay. Replay channel listener. Once you select that, go and configure your Salesforce connection. And this Salesforce connections will be behind the scene, will be using Comet D. Okay. So there is a technology called Comet D that will use behind the scene to connect Salesforce and to use those streaming APIs. Okay. So let me show you the configuration for this. Very simple configuration for connection. So your Salesforce username, your Salesforce token, that is security token, and this is your password. Test the connection. So we are using connection type as a basic authentication. If everything is fine, it will show you test connection successful. So two things are ready. Your Salesforce connection is ready. Your Anypoint MQ queues are ready. Okay. Now let's go ahead to my experience API. Okay. So now if you noticed, which I have discussed here. So now the Salesforce setting is done. This queue is done. Now our part is to create this Salesforce experience API and this customer process API. Okay. So let me go ahead. So first listener. Okay. So Salesforce connection is ready. Let me show you the configuration now for the listener. So once you drag the replay channel listener, okay, so I have dragged two listeners, one for account, one for contact. Now, the moment you drag and drop, it will ask you for the connector configuration, which are configured for Salesforce. Now, streaming channel, these are inbuilt channels for your objects. So whenever your data changed on any of the object, this data will be will be stored on this event. So data / account change event, because I'm configuring account change replay listener. Okay. Here you have all three options. Okay. So change events, all the events specific to account change event, specific to contact change event. So here I'll be adding only account specific. Then replay option, you can go ahead with from last replay ID. Okay. You can use option called last replay ID. So it will take care of running only the unprocessed events. Okay. Replay ID I'm not giving here, but you can give -1. Once that is done, you are ready to listen the events, CDC event for account. Okay. Once you capture the payload for that particular event, simply I'm publishing it to the accounts queue here. Okay. Same as it is payload, I'm publishing to the Anypoint MQ accounts queue. Now, same configuration I did it for contact. So in case of contact, only one thing will get changed, which is my streaming channel name, which is contact specific, contact change event. Okay. Other than this, there is no change. This payload, I'll be publishing it to the contacts queue. Okay. So account specific changes will be published to account queue. Contact specific changes will be published to the contacts queue. Okay. Now, this is my experience API. So if you look at the architecture, so Salesforce part is done. Event bus, anyway, it's inbuilt. It's getting provided out of the box from the Salesforce. Now I have built the experience API and I'm publishing to the Anypoint MQ. Now my job is done till here. Now we are going to implement process API. Now let's go ahead. Let me open my process API. So first we'll consume the content for account. Now this is my process. I'm building the payload for my system API. So if billing address is not null, these fields I'll be copying. If it is null, then simple null value. If shipping address is this, so I'm building one simple payload for my system API. And system API, very simple. I said, right? So I'll be using webhook dot site. Okay, so here we can see the whether the data is coming from the Salesforce or not. So I'll show you once we make a change in Salesforce, this system API will get that data. Okay, it will come from the experience API, it will go to the Anypoint MQ, and from the Anypoint MQ, it will come to the process API, and process API will send the data to this particular system API. I'll be using this URL, okay, this URL for my system API. Okay, so I'm just mimicking the implementation of system API using this webhook site. Okay, so you can use this ID. Okay, so you just remember this ID. I'll be using this ID during my configuration. Okay, so if we go back here, okay, so I'll be calling for accounts, I'll be calling the webhook.site, okay, and I'm saying put method and the customer path. Okay, so this is my one API call for accounts. So if you look at here, I'll be listening only to accounts queue. Okay, and second listener is for contact queue. Over here you can see, and then again same webhook.site, I'm calling it for customer. Okay, so let's run both this queue, both these applications, and then we'll go to Salesforce. We'll change some content on account object, and we'll see whether it's getting captured on the webhook sites or not. Okay, so let's go ahead. Let's go to the run configuration. Okay, so my customer API and selected. So I'm running both the apps together. Okay, so meanwhile, let me recap. So we have created two queues on Anypoint MQ, one for account, one for contact. Okay, and then we have set up our Salesforce for CDC event, and we gathered the token from the Salesforce. Okay, then we came back to the Anypoint Studio. We have created one experience API, one process API. Okay, and my system APIs we are mimicking with the help of that webhook site URL. So let me show you the webhook.url. So I have properties here. So you can simply see that webhook.site, and this is the base path. That is the ID I'm using it. Okay. So my Anypoint MQ client ID, client secret, and my e-commerce site, which is the system API, and my customer API, which is again system API. So we are mimicking with the help of webhooks.site. In my experience API, I'll show you the properties. So these are my, so I'm going to change these properties anyway. So these are my Salesforce properties. These are my Anypoint MQ properties. That's it. Okay, so we'll be getting data from the Salesforce. We'll be publishing it to the Anypoint MQ. Okay, so both are deployed now. Both the APIs are running, up and running. So let's go ahead to the Salesforce now. Okay, and let's go to the account. First, we'll change something in the accounts. Okay, so let's go ahead. Let's take the latest one. Okay, so I'll go to batch 23. Okay, so I'll say edit this guy. So I'll change something here, type prospect. Instead of agriculture, I'll make it banking. And instead of United States, let me change it to India. And let's say save. Okay, the moment you say save, let's see here. See, the data is coming from there. Okay, and I'll show you whether it's consumed by our system API or not, but let's look at here. So these are the things were changed. Okay, so see industry, type. Now these are the three things got changed. Okay, and here change time is very important. Okay, so if you want to decide whether this event is for modification or for new account, okay, so here immediately change type will tell you what type of event Okay, whether it's a modification or new creation. Change fields, have a look at it. These are the change fields. Okay, change origin, and this is again very, very important, replay ID. So this replay ID in future we can use to replay this event. Okay, and channel, you can look at this channel, data account change event. Now I have dragged this. Now I have, see, new object here. See here, this is the data. It's coming from my process API to system API. Now this data, you can add it to the target system. Okay, so this system will take care of adding it to the target system. Let's go ahead quickly and try to change something in the contact. Let's have a look at it. So let's go to the contacts, and try to change something in the contact. So I'll just go and change something here, edit. So external reference web, home phone, go ahead and say save. If you look at here now, see the contact change event, the replay ID. What all things got changed? Phone number, okay, mailing address got changed. Now let's look at the event was received by system API or not. Have a look at it. Okay. So this payload is based on what I have decided over here in my this field. Okay, this will decide. Okay. Now, if you look at the complete architecture now, so from the Salesforce, data got changed on account and contact that was received by the Salesforce Experience API, that was published to the Anypoint MQ, and my customer API based on the data, whether it's account or contact, the respective system APIs got called, and then that data was consumed by the system API. That's all from this session. Hope you liked it. Hope you feel this will be useful in your projects. In coming sessions, maybe I'll try to cover to the use case for the platform events. Okay. Thanks for watching. Please go ahead and subscribe the channel, hit the like button, hit the bell icon so that you'll get notification to new upcoming videos. Okay. Thank you.